I want to be one of those people who set the tone of what it means to have like an auntie in the industry. Hi, my name is Camari Mick, and I am the executive pastry chef at Musket Rum and Rafts. Growing up, I always had a huge sweet tooth, but my parents weren't really great bakers, so I got my mom to start baking with me when I was 8, and then we started building our relationship, and my relationship with food got a lot stronger, and afterwards we had sat down, had the conversation of what am I gonna do with my life when I'm 17. And I was like, I want to be a forensic pathologist. My dad was like, you're smart, honey, but I don't know. You have a love for baking, you have a love for sweets, you can make a career out of it, so why not go in that direction? I grew up in Easton, Pennsylvania, but my father is from Jamaica and my mom is Brooklyn born. I take a lot of pride in my heritage, and I love to see it be highlighted on a Michelin star menu in New York City. So at the Musket Rum, I take a lot of flavors from the islands, blending it with my fine dining techniques and creating these lovely, approachable desserts that are reminiscent of traditional Jamaican heritage. So the most recent dish that I have my most pride in is the sorrel flottant that I just put on recently after our dinner that TTO sponsored. Our dinner at Musket Rum for Black History Month. So it is a nutmeg pimento meringue that's been steamed and then sandwiched between sorrel semifreddo, and then it's served atop of a coconut anglaise with thyme oil. So it's really gorgeous. It's really a blend of sweet and savory and just ingredients that are truly found only on the islands. So il flottant comes from one of the most coveted enslaved chefs, James Hemings. So it's one of the few recipes that he's left behind in his legacy during his tenure at the Thomas Jefferson Manor. So it's really important to me to include a lot of flavors and diversity within my baking and my work because, one, pastry chefs are more creative than a lot of restaurants tend us to be, and we leave a long-lasting impression on the guests. It's the last thing that they generally eat before they leave the restaurant, so it's the last impression that they have on the whole experience. So I want to make sure that impression is truly in there. You know, I want to make sure that it's ingrained in them, like, oh my God, I had a Scotch bonnet sorbet. Oh my God, I had this wonderful thing from Musket Rum. Like, I want that feeling to be like, I had a wonderful food experience, but those desserts, man, like, we have to really include pastry a little bit more in the whole ethos of a restaurant. Sometimes it's that last moment or that last thought for some people, and it's not for me. It's kind of the first thought. I'm like, all right, we'll go there, but what's on their menu for pastry? Like, what's the sweets looking like? I think a lot of my food memories are connected to family. So it's not necessarily a flavor that sparks my fondest food memory, but it's making cheese toast with my grandmother. And it's like such a stupid, simple recipe. It's not stupid. It's such a beautiful, simple recipe where it's the taking the time to make it with her is what sparks joy the most. So it's 2 slices of white bread with country crock butter. You can't skip on that. It has to be country crock, right? Straight out of the tub, making sure to get like the toast crumbs in there too, because it works, all right? And then spreading it, cutting the cheese, just like a nice extra sharp yellow cheese. And you have to make sure that they're chunks. So the butter pools a little bit, and then the chunks of the cheese are nice and cheesy, and they're also just pulling as you rip apart the bread. And I just remember sitting in my grandmother's house, like after playing with my cousins and just eating cheese toast together, and that's like one of the fondest memories. Community is really important to me, especially now. Growing up in this industry, I have always been the only Black woman, sometimes the only Black person in kitchens, and then especially like as I grew to leadership, I've been the only Black person in the room. So having the opportunity to share the stage and highlight other cooks, Black entrepreneurs, bartenders, food industry people is not only a blessing to have, but I think it's imperative for me to share the spotlight. Because we are out there, and while we may not have community within our own restaurants, you have to know that there's a community out there for you. So it's really important that we continue to build that community and continue to have that networking. So for those who have been there, can help lead the way for those who are trying to get there. So those moments that kept me going. Okay, I want to rewind and tell a little story. Have you guys ever been in like a pool where like if you're having an inner tube around you and you start like jumping up and making these waves, and like next thing you know the whole pool is like this whirlpool of like tidal waves going in and out? That's what I feel like I'm doing now. Having the opportunity to be at a Michelin star level, be a partner in rafts, it is my responsibility to continue to make those waves. I need to be the one to set the tone, or I don't need to be, but I want to be one of those people who set the tone of what it means to have like an auntie in the industry. Like, I want somebody to be like, oh yes, I know Chef Camari. Let me connect you to her if you want to hear if you have any questions about pastry. I want to be a role model for somebody. I want to be the role model I didn't have. Getting to, how old am I? 30 years old. I feel like I've only had 2, maybe 3 mentors in my whole 12 years of career. And they didn't come until the accolades started coming. And I wish they came before. I have several pieces of advice for the nieces, the nephews, and everyone in between. 1, do your research. Yes, this is a hard career, but it doesn't need to be as hard as some people make it to be. Where do you see what is your end goal? Find your end goal before you start your journey. Because if you're just going which in every way, you'll be pulled into the wrong direction. Find chefs that you admire, not for what they put on the plate, but their work ethic and their morals. And then you work for them. And once you find your goal, attack it. Just keep going. Don't let anybody stop you, no matter what anybody says. I mean, take advice, for sure. Be open-minded. Be open to learning something new. Be open to being wrong. And keep pushing. Collaboration is extremely important to my creative process. I now oversee 3 restaurants, along with doing consulting on the side, trying to develop recipes for my own cookbook, and writer's block is real. Creative blocks are real. I survive because of the team that I have under me. Without them, and being able to have a conversation with them and collaborate with them and get them to their hopes and dreams, gets us menu items, gets us new ideas. It breeds creativity, sometimes a little slight competition, which I think can be healthy. And honestly, it builds a better work environment when people feel like their thoughts and their contributions are being heard. The most rewarding part about running 3 pastry departments is, one, seeing my team grow into positions and being able to promote them and have space for them to grow is very exciting. And then 2 is being able to take my parents to the openings and all of the events and just kind of be the parent on Christmas Day now. Sitting in the corner with coffee, just watching them open presents is just like it's an event. I get that feeling. I feel like the parent, and I feel, because my dad loves to say that this is their degree too, like this is their career. And it sort of is, I would like to think that I am my ancestors' wildest dream. Okay. I would love to bake for Chef James Hemmings, and I know I can make this come up soon. Former president, forever president, Barack Obama, and First Lady Michelle Obama. And then, don't judge me, but Barney. I feel like, hear me out. He's purple. He's a dinosaur. He knows how to eat. All right. I don't know, something extravagant, like an opera cake, like really nice, like very delicate. I feel like he would enjoy it. I would say a molten chocolate lava cake, but I just put one on the menu, so. We call it a coulant because that's the original name. A cardamom-scented coulant with a tahini sabayon and a cacao nib and sesame tuile. So, that's pretty good. It's not a molten lava chocolate cake. Can I get a little extra fudge on the side, please? Because I think that only Southerners that talk like that get molten chocolate lava cakes. I mean, yeah, it's an Applebee's thing, right? They took it over and they destroyed it, like they did everything. The 5 for $5, like, come on, it's not the same anymore. It's like, I mean, honestly, it's my event that's coming up on Monday. Like, we have Dr. J. We have sponsorships from 10 to 1, a little plug right there. Open Table. I've put on Black History Month events before, and I've put on nothing of this caliber. We have Alexander Smalls being in the building. We have chefs from all over America, literally flying out Chef Tavel. We're flying out Chef Mashama Bailey. I ain't got money like that, but it is such a huge event and it's community building. Like, I cannot wait to be in the room with everybody and just having that moment of and sense that it's just for us. We are coming together to create this beautiful menu, and it's because of us. It's gonna be a glorious moment. And it hasn't happened yet. Black History Month is obviously remembering and honoring the past, but while we do that, we still need to continue to move forward. Using and leaning on the history that allowed us to be here, let it drive the creativity forward, let it continue to push us to innovate, and especially just let it bring us together. Damn, that's a hard question. I want to be remembered for just being, 1, a voice of reason sometimes, and then 2, I think I will lean into that auntie status. I want to be that person that somebody could come to, hey, I need help, whether it's advice, maybe it's a recipe, maybe it's just to shoot the shit. So I want to be remembered as a matriarch without having the kids, if you will. The advice that I would give myself would be to speak up, say what you mean and mean what you say, and you got this, girl. Sierra. Because we already did the desserts, you know? So, Sierra, we can have a cocktail together.